Okay, so hello and welcome to yet another reaction video. Today, a bit different for you guys. I'll be reacting to Hormozi's book launch. So it's been a week. If you don't know Alex Hormozi, well, actually, you know Alex Hormozi if you're watching this video. There's just no way. You probably know Cole Gordon as well. He's one of the kind of OG in the online business money space. I've never actually watched a video of his. I just know of him. So it'll be my first video reacting to his content, and basically he's breaking down why he spent $225,000 on Alex Hormozi's book. So if you don't know, Alex Hormozi did a launch last week for $100 million money models. I did buy the book. Well, I actually went vis-a-vis a friend, that ordered 16 or 20 books or something, and I just took off one or two off him. But yeah, this video, we're going to go through basically a recap of the launch, my thoughts on it as obviously a six-figure AI entrepreneur that's been been in the online space for the past 2 years. So I'll give you my 2 cents. As always, if you like the video, like it below, subscribe to the channel as well. I actually subscribe to Cole Gordon here and hit the bell for post notifications. And without further ado, let's get right into the video.
I spent 200.
By the way, someone on my previous video commented because I was talking about the sound of an insect. He told me it's a cricket. I knew it was a cricket, okay? I just didn't think of it in the moment. It was 9 p.m. Now we're at 5 p.m., so my brain is working a bit better. But it's actually quite loud, eh? It's crazy. I don't know why. I think it's maybe cricket maiden season or something. I don't know. But anyways, I'll try my best for you not to hear that sound.
25 grand to order 10,000 copies of Alex Hormozi's new book. So in this video, I want to share with you why I decided to do it, what I'm actually getting, and what specifically about it made it totally worth it to me. So quick overview of what I'm getting. Essentially, I get 10,000 books, so more books than I need. So if you want one, there's a link in the description, whatever you need, you put in the code and you get a free book. I got all the upsells you probably saw in the launch, so like the black books, all of that stuff, the SOPs, the processes, the AI thing, the school community mastermind with all the virtual calls, basically all of that stuff is included into this. The 2 things that I got that were unique that weren't mentioned in the launch mastermind was number 1, a 10-person mastermind with other people who paid $225 grand. So that's not the reason I bought. I actually bought because of the next thing. Obviously, that would be pretty cool. I mean, we'll fly out to Vegas. It's going to be 10 pretty freaking high-level people. I know from doing these things quite often.
I mean, if you're dropping $225,000 on books, yeah, you're doing well, right? But like he's gonna explain in the video, the kind of model of Hormozi was he was selling books, but he's not selling books. He's selling the bonuses that come with buying a certain amount of books.
That even just one connection can be worth the entire 225 grand, whether they become a client or give you referrals or you get a really good idea from them, whatever. Like usually these things, they pay off in and within themselves. Anytime I've done it, and I'll share with you some examples on later. If it's a very high quality group, it usually always pays for itself. But the thing that really made me pull the trigger was the one-on-one VIP session with Hormozi. And
yeah, that's valuable. I'm not gonna lie. A guy like that made probably over 300 mil right now with his selling his company and all that stuff, and this book launch where he made 100 mil in a day. Yeah, for 225K, you actually got your money's worth.
The reason I really wanted to do that was actually a few reasons. So number 1 is it's just an opportunity to really model somebody who's exactly like my business. I've done a lot of different one-on-one consulting and one-on-one coaching. Oftentimes, and sometimes they've been with billionaires or people who are like multiple 9 figures. The problem is a lot of times is they just don't quite understand all of the context and exactly what your business model is nearly as well as you do. Like they can only tell you what's true from their own experience. Okay, so like if I'm talking with somebody who's from the SaaS world, even if they build a $1 billion company, they're not going to understand like how I'm doing outbound sales. They're not going to understand how I'm doing inbound sales and kind of the high ticket world and the info world and the nuances and how it works. Doesn't mean their advice can't be valuable. And in fact, I'll share with you later, somebody I did get consulting from outside of the industry who gave me an amazing idea. Only could have came because he was outside of the industry. But it's really nice to have somebody you can just model exactly. So again, with Hormozi, he did gym launch, and from the very inception of my company, which is Sales Team Accelerator, Closers.io. So essentially what we do is we're a $30 million a year company. We do sales training and recruiting. So we give people a salesperson, and then we have a bunch of retention stuff we do in the back end.
I see a lot of people starting these companies. I'm in Quebec. We have a guy that started a kind of sales recruitment company where essentially he sold coaching on the front end, formed like a bunch of sales reps, if you will, and then now he kind of places them into companies for a fee and whatnot. I don't know how profitable that is. Like seriously, like how the hell do you? Maybe once again, I'm not in that industry at all, but like running ads on like all place sales reps for you. Like they can just run an ad and get sales rep and filter through the applications, and then have someone in house like to manage it, versus just paying you and saying like 30 mil a year. Like, what the hell?
But I modeled it very similar to Gym Launch from the very, very inception of the company way back in 2019, because I've been studying Alex way before he was even like a famous guy, okay? And so with Gym Launch, they bring people in for leads, but what they're really trying to do over the long term is convert this person from, okay, I just want leads, to then looking at Gym Launch as the playbook they want to run their business out of. And once you can make that conversion, the LTV goes through the roof. That's part of the reason why, Alex mentions his LTV to CAC was like 50 to 1 or whatever. It's because his back end was so huge. Well, I run my business the same exact way. They come in for a salesperson, whether it's a setter or closer or whatever. Throughout the process of working together, what we really try to do is, yes, deliver all the stuff that they want on the front end, but really shift the engagement to let them help us with their entire business in general. Because what really we have is I've scaled 3 multiple 8-figure businesses. So I have an amazing playbook of how to scale any really online service-based company from 1 to 10, 20, $30 million a year pretty predictably, right? So if I can get them to operate out of my playbook of running their entire business, any business challenge that they have over the course of time, they're always going to come back to us. Whereas if I only focus on one problem, it really limits my retention.
Okay, so that's how he actually makes most of his money. That makes sense, because see, like, you're not making money on placing and training closers.
Like I might place 2 salespeople, they might not even know the 2 salespeople for 6 months. Because hopefully that makes sense. So both of us have a very, very heavy back end, very similar business model, and very, very similar marketing and sales models. So for instance, the inbound sales model we run is very, very similar to Gym Launch's. The outbound sales model is exactly the same. And that's very, very rare too. I don't have any other people that I could talk to who've actually done the outbound that we're doing. We're generating a couple hundred points a month right now, but have done it at a much, much higher level than we have.
Yeah, I'm trying to get on outbound. I'm not going to lie. If you're watching this video, by the way, and you are an outbound expert, whether that's you have experience in cold calling, whether you have experience training people on cold calling or whatever it may be, please find me on IG. It's my same name, Edgar_Imanov. I'll maybe link it in the description down below. Because that's a really, really untapped like way of prospecting. I feel like especially in the AI space, I have a bunch of data on our ICP and all that. So, and to see that Cole Gordon is still running a big part of his business, a couple hundred sales calls a month with outbound, it is quite valuable, and I'm trying to get on that ASAP. So if you know anyone or yourself, you're an expert, shoot me a DM, please.
That, for me, if I can get like a couple of things or a couple of tweaks out of this conversation that take it to the next level, I mean, that'll pay for it in within itself. So whenever you can just kind of model somebody exactly who's been doing what you're doing, it's very good. The other really key thing that I want to talk to him about is one of his pieces of advice is modeling a business at the extreme level. So what I mean by that is what he says is take a business that's in your industry and look at the biggest business in your industry that does what you do. So for instance, like we're a sales recruiting business and really just a recruiting business at its core. So if I look at recruiting businesses that are the biggest in the world, I mean, there's legit billion-dollar recruiting businesses. If I look at those businesses, the average recruiting business doing about 100 million to 300 million a year has about 200 to 400 clients. Guess how many clients I have? 800 clients, and I'm doing $30 million a year. Now, the billion-dollar recruiting clients, they're a conglomeration of a bunch of those 9-figure recruiters who have 200 to 400 clients. If I want to model to the extreme, it's going up market and then eventually doing some sort of M&A with other recruiting companies, right? And getting out of just this space, but really getting to pretty much any business who needs salespeople, but specifically needs 3 to 20 salespeople a month. So like an actual enterprise contract. The problem is, and what I want to talk to Alex about, is enterprise, sales, marketing, etc. is just really not my skill set. Like obviously,
it's really hard to do. Like, to be honest, how do you go after those big established companies that already have their established recruitment firm? It's quite a big problem. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I genuinely like to be a fly on the wall for these conversations to see what Alex would say, because Alex hasn't even tapped into that enterprise market. Maybe it has some connections though, but I'm not sure you can Facebook ads your way to those enterprise contracts.
I'm not a complete novice and know nothing. Like I'm good at sales, I'm good at marketing, etc. But I've never really had to do targeting 50 to 100 million dollar companies plus a true account-based marketing approach. Like even our outbound, the way we do it now, is a much more higher volume transactional way. It's not like we have a list of 500 ideal clients to go after. what is the best way to do a multi-channel approach to these people? What's the best way to do the sales? All of that stuff. So if I could get one thing out of the entire thing, that would be it. Because even getting 2 clients, whatever strategy he would share, or referral, whatever it could be, even getting 2 clients would pay for the thing and up with himself. If I could add 100 clients through what I learned, that'd be like 20 to 30 million in revenues, cash, to my business per year if I just had 100 clients. Okay, and that's per year, and that's also, this would be a very, very high 60-70% margin service. And then the final thing I want to talk to him about is brand. I think that one thing I really struggle with is I make my content very, very, very tactical, and I get a little bit too into the weeds. But I find, the people who have big brands tend to make watered down, very beginner, broad content. And I feel like Alex is the only person who's kind of intersected those two to where he can make content for the masses, but do it in a way that's valuable even to somebody like me doing multiple 8 figures a year. He's literally...
Yeah, that's true. Hormozi is really the goat of like speaking to everyone, but like actually giving valuable insights to everyone as well. Not just like surface like Iman Gazzi. And I have nothing against Iman Gazzi. I love Iman, bro. He's the one that got me into the agency space 2 years ago, but 2.5 years ago. But obviously once you hit that 10K a month mark, it's not really, there's no more value in the content, really.
The only person, and I feel like I know, most everybody, who's gotten the brand as big as he is, while essentially keeping the content like super valuable and probably like stuff that he actually wants to talk about. So I just want to talk to his thoughts about that, see what's up. But anyways, most people, just to be honest, I totally get it. They wouldn't invest 225 grand on coaching. I just want to let you know, I probably invested 5 million plus. I don't really keep count, but a lot. Especially in the early years on coaching courses, etc. I'm going to spend way more than that in the future. I just want to give you a couple things that I think about and frameworks of why I continue to do this. And the first thing is, the bigger the investment, the bigger you actually think. Okay, and you probably haven't thought about this before, but when you make an investment, if you've ever done it before, you kind of automatically think like, okay, if I do this, how many clients do I need to be able to ROI this investment? Okay, so like if you invest something that's like 10K, I might think like, okay, I just got to get a client a month to ROI this investment. Now, if I invest in something that's 200 grand, I'm automatically thinking way bigger. Like I'm thinking like, how can I add 5 million this year to my business? Okay. So I originally kind of realized this when I paid 150 grand to patch up at David. So I met him in person, and essentially it was really funny. This is actually the example I was alluding to earlier, where he doesn't necessarily come from my industry. So I was trying to explain to him the context, how my industry worked and everything. And he literally looked at me like I was a complete idiot and could not understand why I wasn't just doing enterprise contracts and moving up market. And I tried to explain to him my niche, my industry, well, this, that, we kind of work with these people, we do it. He just didn't get it. And after trying to explain it to him, I just stopped and I realized like the fact that he doesn't get it is the value. Like, why am I not doing that? Which ever since I realized that, I've really been planning on launching that hopefully in Q4 as our enterprise division. Okay, so that's a big thing as well. The second big key theme is relationships. So the best connections I've had in my life and in business, I paid for them. Okay. Of course, like I alluded to earlier, being in a room with heavy hitters.
Yeah, exactly. Because like, yeah, it's valuable, but let's say like Alex Hormozi actually has connections, and he probably does in the like big enterprise world. That's worth its weight in gold versus like him giving you, for example, with PPD, the advice of like, why aren't you going up market? Well, like, can you give me a kickstart, right? Type stuff. But yeah, definitely, if you invest a big amount, the biggest I've invested, I think, was like 7-8K with Serge Guattari. That really helped me take my business to the next level. It's been over, I'd say, a year that I haven't really bought any coaching. I definitely am thinking about doing that in the future, coaching some kind of program. I just haven't seen anything really worthwhile for now. But as soon as I do, I'll definitely check it out.
You get ROI, you get good ideas, you might get some clients, you might get some referrals, you get good connections, whatever it is. But even like sometimes you just come up with ideas or like listen to an idea and then that idea ends up being of huge value. So I'll give you an example. I bought a mastermind from Alex Becker, who owns Hyros, in 2021. He doesn't even do this type of stuff anymore, but it was 30 grand. And this mastermind was about building SaaS products. I didn't even have a SaaS product. I just wanted to join. And so I'm like in person, and I don't even have a SaaS, but he mentioned the marketing funnel that he was using to do Hyros, and that gave me the idea of the marketing funnel I ended up using for closers. That funnel that I got from that mastermind has done over $100 million. So that's probably the best ROI I've ever gotten. And it wasn't even a direct, like, do this. Like, I just kind of picked it up as an aside throughout just listening to the entire mastermind conversations that were going on, etc.
Yeah, it's funny how sometimes you'll pay to get a certain thing, but it's actually just something totally different in the presentation or the webinar or in the coaching program that kind of makes you start thinking about your way of doing things, and then you can actually apply it. It's actually a big thing of what I did, which there's not exactly like it was like do this, do that. And in fact, I would highly suggest that you never go into a coaching program thinking that they'll give you like the ABCD steps to achieve Y outcome, but more so be like, it'll help me expand my mind, what other people are doing, see the back end of stuff. And that'll actually within your mind activate, your neurons, and then you start thinking about your own stuff, and then you start incorporating things that you just see from other people's businesses into your own business.
And also, the connection you actually get with the mentor or the coach or the person is also valuable in and within itself. So, for example, like Patrick David and his company, they referred us a ton of people. Like we kind of spiderwebbed, and I've been able to get connections from being able to connect with him. So there's just a ton of other stuff that when you get access to those people who are ahead of where you are, you don't just get that connection, you can also get a lot of other connections as well. And then the third thing that is really, really key about coaching is a lot of people will say, oh, well, you paid 225 grand for information that you could just get in a book. You got scammed. Well, it's like, I totally realized that we could have this coaching call and everything that he would tell me is literally shit that's in his YouTube videos or in his books. Okay? But sometimes, and this is a Hormozi quote, sometimes we need to be reminded more than we need to be taught. A lot of times, like I'll do coaching.
That's what, so true, so true.
Or a program, or I'll be at a mastermind, and I'll think of an idea that I had thought of before and never implemented, but finally made the connection. It lit a fire in my ass, and then I'm like, boom, I implement it, and it gets huge results. Sometimes, I think I get reminded of something that I used to do, and for some reason forgot to do. Like, a certain process with our setters or something like that, where we used to do it, and then, through a change of different managers and whatever, we just kind of forgot to do it, and then we get back to doing it. It's an increase in revenue. So I'll give you
the number of times I've done that with ads is crazy. Getting a framework, it works, but then we start trying to expand to different industries, different markets, different services that we're providing. We used to be in marketing, now we're in AI service, a fulfillment company exclusively. And then you kind of forget of them, and then you watch a video or you go back and speak with, for example, in my case, Serge, and you're like, oh, shoot, I should go back to this thing that was already working. Why am I trying to reinvent the wheel? And then it works for well still.
A few examples of that as well. When I met with Patrick David, within the first 30 minutes, he was like, you need a CMO in your company. 100% to get to the next level, you got to have a CMO. I had when he told me that, I knew I needed a CMO. But I had kind of been going slow. I was dragging my ass with it a little bit. But boom, I made that connection in the meeting within 60 days. I had a CMO. That CMO really helped us in, I think this was 2022, go from 30 million a year to 50 million a year with the companies in the portfolio we had at the time. Same thing with the funnel that I got from Alex Becker's mastermind that did over 100 million. I actually knew what that funnel was long before I went to that mastermind. I had known about it for a long time. But when I was there, I finally made the connection of, yeah, even though that funnel's for SaaS, I bet that would work amazing for my company. And then boom, made the connection, implemented it, whatever. So I don't necessarily look for new ideas. If I can just leave the thing and end up implementing stuff, even if it's stuff I already knew, that ends up getting results in my business, I don't care. It's an ROI on my investment. So that's it for this video. If you want to know my exact blueprint of how I took my company from 0 to 8 figures and how you can too, go to this video.
Okay, so I'd say this was probably one of the most valuable videos I've reacted to, maybe of all time since starting this kind of reaction series. Super excellent video. I'll like it right now. If you like this video too, subscribe down below. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. I'll perhaps do a giveaway at 1,000 subscribers. So subscribe to the channel. Shoot me a message on IG if you know how to do outbound or if you know someone. Yeah, really solid video. Appreciate you watching till the end, and I'll see you in the next one.